Hello friends, today I would like to talk to you about different ways how to grow Adenium to be chubby, to have a fat trunk, white trunk, or spread caudex. Caudex is the bottom part of a trunk. The reason I want to talk about it specifically now is because we had an unusually cold, unusually long, unusually rainy spring. We had flooding, and so during this part of a year when Adenium should be in bigger bloom than usually, it isn't. We have some bloom, but nothing in compared to what it should be. And so we can see the other beauty of Adenium, the body of the plant. So let's go straight to it. The very desirable characteristic beauty of Adenium. The non-Adenium bonsai takes, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years to get such a shape that the trunk is both wide and wider on the bottom than on the top, and so imitates majestic old banyan tree or some other species. We don't wanna wait dozens of years for bonsai like this or like this. We can grow adeniums that will bloom most of the summer and most of the spring, this spring being exception, and it would get white in a year or 2 or 5 or 10, but not 50. Well, how do we accomplish this? Well, partially by age, very few years, partially by pruning roots or trunk, or growing specific species that have that kind of tendency, or fertilizing special way. So let's just discuss and show one method after another. Fertilizing. Well, high phosphorus, high potassium, and not so high nitrogen. Root pruning. If the tree has a taproot, the central root, and it's cut and dried during transplanting, it might develop side roots, which then thicken the bottom. This one was lucky enough to grow like that naturally. Sister didn't. Different beauty. Lifted during transplanting, it revealed the thick taproot which became trunk. Same thing here. Or here. Or here. The root pruning works best in those plants that have natural tendency to have a plenty side roots, which are usually Arabicum or hybrids that are part Arabicum. Another method is pruning twigs, pinching, like this. Because by keeping the crown low and full, the proportion would be such that the trunk would look fat. Look, this plant has a trunk much thinner than this telephone pole. Yet, this telephone pole does not look chubby in compared to this trunk, this plant. Because proportionally, wideness of this telephone pole to its height is such that it's way taller than wider, while this trunk is similarly wide like tall, so it looks very chubby. So this proportion can be achieved, big wideness in compared to short height, in some cases by lifting during transplanting. In other cases, by cutting the taproot. In other cases, in plants that naturally want to be twiggy, by pinching. In other cases, in plants that naturally want to grow kind of like the telephone pole, by shortening the trunk, by pruning not branches but trunk itself. The case in point are plants that are Adenium, that are of a species Adenium somalense, plants that have a kind of a longish leaves. These plants have longish leaves just a little bit because they are hybrids between somalense and obesum, but still you can see the telephone poles. So you can imagine if you were to put this plant into pot, shorten it here, it'll make from every thick branch several thinner, you create crown here, you would have a very wide, a very chubby plant. Similar, perhaps, to this one that is naturally into twigginess because it has the cultivar broccoli in it, in its genome. Here I have a plant that is pure Adenium somalense, not partial, so you can see how very narrow, longish leaves it has, sort of like oleander. This is the plant that really wants to have a narrow, even, non-tapered, even thickness trunk and not thickening years and years. But of course, because it's over 5 years old, yes, it has some thickness. If you were to cut it right here, in a year or two it'll heal. This becomes the trunk, the continuation of a trunk, and so you see you would get the extreme taper or tapper, I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly in English, and so you would get that chubby feeling. But my friends, you don't necessarily want to do anything like that. pruning, pinching, root pruning, special fertilizing, waiting for old age. Maybe you just wanna grow the species that naturally wants to be very chubby. Well, with Adenium, you're in luck. There are such species. First of all, there is Adenium arabicum. Oh, hello bonsai, we're going further. Adenium arabicum naturally wants to grow like this, very short trunk and very wide. The problem with arabicum is that the leaves have microscopic hair that attracts mites, red spider mites, and then the leaves periodically wants to just fall off unless you wanna spray poison on a regular basis on them. Plus, the arabicum wants to grow bigger and bigger. You need bigger and bigger pots. Eventually, it's aiming to be the size and wideness of a refrigerator. But there is a solution. Let me show you. Because each arabicum is different, by selective breeding, not cross-pollinating, but selective breeding, selecting for characteristics, growers in Southeast Asia created so-called Thai Soko arabicum. Those adeniums are smaller, have a smooth leaves, no microscopic hair, fuzz, and retain the chubby characteristic. There is many subgroups of Soko arabicum, Thai Soko arabicum. All of them look like it. Let me show you. These are Thai Soko Chadapech. They don't want to be the size of refrigerator, and they don't attract the mites. Many Thai Sokos. This one specifically, I purchased seeds because 3 to 5% of offspring has the curly leaves, super dwarf called Dorsen horn. So I was into that, so I am into that. So that's why I grew this, but all Thai Sokos are like this. Beautiful. Some little more, some little less. Which are more than this one, these ones called Chadapech? Well, more than these are all Thai Sokos that start with the word crown. These Thai Soko Chadapech are little over 3 years old, but little over 2 years old crown Thai Soko. I purchased seeds little over 2 years ago. Specifically emerald crown, but any crown are like that. Golden crown Thai Soko will be just like that. Well, let me show you. Here they are. Emerald crown Taisoko Arabicum Adenium. Extremely chubby, very short, without of doing anything. You just grow them, that's all. Unfortunately, a moth came and deposited egg, and so this one lost all the leaves and this one lost half of the leaves before it created cocoon. Just take a look, difference. This is a double old Somalense next to the type that was selectively bred out of Arabicum to be the chubbiest and manageable size and smooth leaves. Over 2 years, and this is over 5 years. So if you wanna buy plants like this or seeds, you don't need to pinch the twigs or prune the branches or prune the taproot or get the thickness by lifting during transplanting. You're just gonna grow it and that's it. Seeds and plants are sold from Southeast Asia by many growers on Facebook. In a Facebook search engine, just type Taisoko Adenium and then look for crown Taisoko Adenium. Golden crown, emerald crown, whatever. This specifically are emerald crown called. The seeds through Facebook from somebody who has a web page there called kamsankhan@gmail.com, but many other places are selling these kind of seeds. Emerald crown Taisoko Arabicum, which is a selection of Arabicum. Okay, if you want even smaller, even more manageable, because you're growing plants on a windowsill, then Dorset horn, I'll show you. Here it is, Dorset horn Adenium. Lots of leaves, we had a terrible weather. Little more than 3 years old. One of the seedlings from Taisoko Chada page that I was showing you short time ago was curly, called Dorset horn, because Dorset horn is a type of sheep that has a very curly horns, and that's why this is called, this Arabicum, this Adenium is called Dorset horn. Okay friends, now I notice this pot is starting to crack, so I have to transplant this emerald crown. So since I'm at it, before I finish this video, I'll show you this plant, how it looks naked. One moment. Okay, here it is out of the pot. Now I'll take the soil away, and this is how it looks without soil. Extremely chubby, right? And this is how it looks when it's housed completely clean, ready for transplanting into a little bit bigger pot. Not much, it's not fast growing. A little bit wider pot, to be more specific. Plus, if I want, I can put it slightly higher, like till here. Instead of like till here like it was, it can be like till here. And the whitish part would become green in time by exposure to light. Okay, friends, I guess that's all for now for this subject of a different ways of getting chubby caudex adenium, chubby trunk adenium, sumo like desert rose. Goodbye.